Welcome back, beer tubers. Taking a look at another beer I picked up on my trip to Michigan, and this is from New Holland. It's the one that only Dragon's Milk. This is a 10% beer. They call it a bourbon barrel aged or a bourbon barrel stout. So, and I'll get into more of this in review. But this, and it also says it's the 2014 vintage. But I got to see a talk from the owners of New Holland at the National Homebrewers Conference, and they talked about this beer. It only sees 90 days in bourbon barrels, so they do a very short aging process in the barrels. And so I'm kind of surprised if they only released it once a year. Maybe it's just one of the many batches they do. Anyway, thanks to my buddy Daniel for splitting I bought a 4-pack at this at the store he works at in Kalamazoo. So, I mean, I saw Dragon's Milk everywhere, which is pretty awesome to see in Michigan, to find a bourbon barrel aged beer, even though it's only 90 days. But it pours out, I'm guessing that's a really, really dark brown, but I mean, it's fairly opaque. I mean, I guess it's black. It doesn't seem as dark as some other beers. And has a nice, kind of lighter brown color to the head on there. Some alcohol legs for sure. Let's get the aroma. Oh yeah, very nice aroma. It doesn't immediately hit me as stout though on the aroma. I get a lot of dark fruit, a lot of cherry, raisin, sweeter fig, vanilla, oak, caramel, some chocolate in there as well. A sweeter chocolate, more of a milk chocolate character, not a darker baker's type of chocolate note. It's not overly roasty, and I think that's what is one of those characteristics of a lot of stouts. Has that nice roast, that coffee, kind of char, smoky character. Really don't get a whole lot on this beer, so let's dive in. Cheers. Delicious beer. Very smooth for 10%. I don't know how old this particular bottle is, but really smooth, mellow, easy drinking beer. Up front, you get a lot of sweetness, but it's not a very cloying beer. Overall, it definitely balances towards the malty, sweeter side, but the finish dries out just enough to keep it very pleasant. Big, sweet caramel toffee notes. It's kind of what you get initially. Yeah, then those fruits come through. That cherry, vanilla character is in there. That sweeter kind of raisin, fig characteristics in there. You get almost a little bit of like a leathery characteristic. You get like an old ale, and that's kind of one of the debates I've had with other people that enjoy this beer, where it's like, it doesn't really feel like an imperial stout. It feels like it's one of those hybrid beers, kind of like port's old viscosity. It has that sort of stout characteristic to it, but it also has a lot of old ale characteristic, a lot of old, barley wine type of characteristics to it, with a lot of that darker fruit and caramel notes. And then definitely get that milk chocolate character comes through towards the finish, and the finish dries out nice with the oak character. Those oak tannins come through. A lot of vanilla. There's also some alcohol sweetness to the beer as well, and to me it doesn't quite fit a typical imperial stout. And the more I drink it, the more it turns into this more like old ale barley wine type of character. It lacks the big roast character. It lacks the coffee character. I just don't really get any of that in this beer. And so that's kind of why I say that. And I think roasted barley, and I'm sure there's roasted barley in this, but it's just not a dominating flavor at all. I mean, it's pretty buried. And maybe they're just using a chocolate malt. Hard to say what it is, but it lacks that stout, that defining stout characteristic to me, in my opinion. And maybe you guys differ. Let me know what your opinion is on this beer, whether you think it is absolutely stout. One thing I can tell you, it's definitely not a milk stout. The Dragon's Milk's just the name. It's not a sweet stout or a milk stout. So I really enjoy this beer. I drank a good amount of it while I was in Michigan. So to me, it's just a straight up A beer. It kind of flies under the radar. I think it's a very underrated beer, maybe outside the state of Michigan. Or maybe it is underrated in Michigan because you guys can get it so easily. But either way, I don't think enough people know about New Holland's Dragon's Milk, and And if you do, it's a delicious beer. It's easy to trade for. It's reasonably priced. You get 4-pack bombers. It ages well. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to love about this beer, and I'm really enjoying it. So highly recommended for me. Until next time, please comment and subscribe. Cheers.